My husband hid $45,000 while I was planning our future. I always believed trust was the most valuable asset in a marriage, more than money, more than love, more than time. And for 13 years, I truly thought my husband and I were solid investors in each other. We met when we were 19, young, broke, and ambitious. We built everything together from scratch. No generational wealth, no safety net, just long nights, cheap meals, and a shared vision of the future. We planned carefully, methodically, like two CFOs running a household instead of a company. From the beginning, we agreed on one major financial principle: full transparency. Every dollar earned was our dollar. Every expense was discussed. Every goal was mutual. That agreement shaped our entire life. We delayed having children until everything was right: careers stable, investments strong, emergency funds stacked, no consumer debt. We didn't rush, we strategized. By our early 30s, we had done what most people only dream of: over $500,000 in investments, multiple savings accounts, bonds, a fully purchased home, even a boat, something we laughed about, calling it our "we made it" trophy. All of it was planned around one core decision. When we had a baby, I would stay home full-time. This wasn't just preference, it was trauma-informed. His younger brother died at 5 months old in 2017 due to daycare negligence. That loss shattered his family. Daycare was never an option for us, ever. So we planned accordingly. I structured my career knowing I'd eventually step away. My income always went straight into our joint account. Every paycheck, every bonus, every tax return. I never hid a dime. Why would I? We were a team. Or so I thought. 2 years ago, we finally said, now. We started trying. Pregnancy wasn't easy. At 5 months, I had a placental abruption and was pulled from work immediately. The doctors were clear. Stress could cost the baby. My husband stepped up. He cooked, cleaned, worked full-time, reassured me constantly. I felt safe. 4 weeks ago, our daughter was born healthy. Perfect weight, strong lungs, beautiful. I thought we had crossed the finish line. I was wrong. The call that changed everything came on an ordinary afternoon. It was the Department of Health and Human Services calling to verify insurance options for our daughter. Routine stuff, or so I assumed. The agent was kind, efficient, and factual. She said, "We just need to verify household income." I didn't think much of it. I knew we wouldn't qualify for state insurance. Then she added casually, "Your husband's monthly gross income is $10,920. The cutoff is $7,800. I went quiet. "Sorry?" I said. "Can you repeat that?" She did. $10,920. Monthly. Gross. That didn't align with anything I knew. For months, years, my husband had told me he made about $6,000 a month after taxes. Tight, but workable. The reason we budgeted carefully. The reason we skipped certain luxuries. The reason, just last week, he told me we couldn't justify $38 worth of steaks. After I hung up, my hands were shaking. I didn't accuse him. I didn't confront him immediately. I verified. I logged into his computer, then his bank, and that's when my stomach dropped. His take-home wasn't $6,000. It was closer to $8,500 every month. The difference? Everything over $6,000 was being transferred automatically into an account I didn't know existed, an account in his name only. Balance? $45,000. Hidden. While my income, all of it, sat in our joint account, used freely, budgeted tightly. I felt something shift inside me. Not rage at first. Fear. This wasn't just money. This was financial control. This was deception layered under years of "we're in this together." When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He cried, said he just wanted something that was his. That sentence echoed in my head. because everything I had ever earned was ours, and everything he hid was his. I didn't scream, I didn't throw things. I said something that shocked even me. I'm putting the baby in daycare. I'm going back to work. He broke down instantly. Daycare trauma, his brother, the past. But something fundamental had already broken. Trust, once lost, costs more than any dollar amount. The next morning, I woke up determined to figure out exactly what had been happening behind my back. The shock of discovering my husband's secret $45,000 account had unsettled every part of me, emotionally, mentally, and financially. I had always trusted him completely. Every paycheck I earned had gone into our joint account. Every investment we made together had been shared. And now this hidden account revealed a breach of trust so deep that I couldn't even see how to reconcile it immediately. I started by gathering every financial statement I could access. Credit cards, joint bank accounts, investment portfolios. I created spreadsheets highlighting discrepancies, noting transfers, and comparing them to our agreed monthly budgets. As I worked, I realized that this was more than just a little secret savings. My husband had been hiding significant sums of money, claiming he earned less than he did to manipulate eligibility for state assistance. This wasn't just a miscommunication, it was financial deception, pure and simple. While I pored over the numbers, I also felt a rising sense of empowerment. I had control of my finances now. I could plan, strategize, and make decisions that no one could undermine. I began researching childcare costs, looking at full-time daycare options, private nannies, and work-from-home opportunities that could offset some of the costs. I calculated tax implications, insurance costs, and projected monthly budgets if I returned to work. Each number I wrote down reinforced that my independence wasn't just emotional, it could be financial too. My husband, sensing the tension, tried to explain. "I just wanted something that was mine," he said, tears welling up in his eyes. I didn't want to feel trapped financially, but I wasn't buying it. Trust isn't just about good intentions. It's about transparency and respect. By hiding money from me, he had broken that trust. I realized I had to make a choice, continue to stay at home and hope he would be honest moving forward, or return to work and regain control of my own financial security. I drafted a plan for myself. Step 1, open a separate account in my name. Step 2, set up an automated savings plan, contributing 30% of my current monthly income. Step 3, enroll in financial literacy courses to gain knowledge about investments, retirement accounts, and personal budgeting strategies. Step 4, research daycare options for the baby to ensure a safe environment while I worked. I realized that taking these steps wouldn't just secure my financial future, it would empower me to make decisions without being manipulated again. By evening, I had created a full roadmap for the next year. I sat down with my husband to explain my decision. I was returning to work. Daycare would be necessary, and our joint finances would now be fully transparent. He sobbed at the thought of breaking the plan, but I didn't waver. My baby's security, my peace of mind, and my financial independence were non-negotiable. I finally felt a sense of clarity. Betrayal can be painful, but it can also be the catalyst for empowerment. While I worked, I realized that taking these steps wouldn't just secure my financial future, it would empower me to make decisions without being manipulated again. By evening, I had created a full roadmap for the next year. I sat down with my husband to explain my decision. I was returning to work. Daycare would be necessary, and our joint finances would now be fully transparent. He sobbed at the thought of breaking the plan, but I didn't waver. My baby's security, my peace of mind, and my financial independence were non-negotiable. I finally felt a sense of clarity. Betrayal can be painful, but it can also be the catalyst for empowerment. Returning to work was harder than I anticipated. Emotionally, I felt torn between my desire to be a full-time mother and the need to safeguard my financial future. Logistically, it was a whirlwind, finding daycare, setting up a flexible work schedule, and managing my baby's needs all at once. But every challenge reminded me of why I had made this decision. I couldn't rely on my husband's hidden accounts or promises anymore. My independence had to come from me and me alone. At work, I quickly realized the power of preparation. I brought spreadsheets detailing projected expenses, childcare costs, and potential savings into every conversation with my employer. I negotiated flexible hours so that I could still spend crucial time with my daughter while ensuring consistent income. Each small win felt like reclaiming a piece of the trust and control I had lost at home. Financial literacy wasn't just about numbers. It was about asserting boundaries and protecting my family. Meanwhile, at home, tensions with my husband escalated. He constantly questioned my daycare choices, fretted over every expense, and subtly tried to convince me that I didn't need to go back to work. But I saw through it. The same man who hid tens of thousands of dollars from me now tried to guilt me into dependency. I realized that financial independence wasn't just about money. It was about power, freedom, and security. I refused to be manipulated further. I also took steps to secure our long-term financial stability. I began researching retirement plans, investment strategies, and emergency funds. I consulted with a financial advisor, creating a roadmap to ensure I could provide for my daughter even if my husband's behavior became unpredictable. Each conversation, each calculated step gave me a sense of control I hadn't felt in years. I realized that money wasn't just currency, it was freedom, it was peace of mind, and it was my shield against betrayal. The hardest part, emotionally, was reconciling love for my husband with the need for boundaries. I still cared for him, still valued the years we had built together, but trust had been broken. I had to accept that love without transparency and respect was dangerous, especially when a child was involved. I focused on building bridges of accountability instead of blind loyalty. Every dollar I saved, every investment I made, and every daycare choice I implemented reinforced my autonomy. By the end of the month, our household finances were completely reorganized. I had a personal account, contributions to joint expenses were now transparent, and daycare costs were clearly accounted for. My husband had reluctantly agreed to the new system, and while there was tension, I felt empowered for the first time since discovering his hidden money. I had turned betrayal into a lesson in financial literacy, resilience, and independence. Saved, every investment I made, and every daycare choice I implemented reinforced my autonomy. By the end of the month, our household finances were completely reorganized. I had a personal account, contributions to joint expenses were now transparent, and daycare costs were clearly accounted for. My husband had reluctantly agreed to the new system, and while there was tension, I felt empowered for the first time since discovering his hidden money. I had turned betrayal into a lesson in financial literacy, resilience, and independence. By the fourth month after returning to work, life had settled into a tense but manageable routine. I dropped my daughter at daycare in the mornings, went to my job, and spent evenings reviewing budgets and investment plans. Every time I reviewed our finances, I felt a mix of relief and empowerment. For the first time, I was in control, not just of money, but of the trajectory of my family's life. I realized that financial independence was more than numbers. It was a tool for personal sovereignty. My husband, however, remained a constant source of friction. He often suggested expensive purchases, hinted at small luxuries we couldn't really afford, and subtly criticized my choices. Each time, I reminded myself of the $45,000 he had hidden, the clear evidence that financial freedom without transparency was a threat. I calmly navigated these conflicts by referring to our budgets, projected expenses, and daycare costs. The combination of firm boundaries and financial data became my armor against manipulation. I also began exploring ways to turn this challenging situation into growth. I started a personal finance blog detailing my journey as a new mother, dealing with financial betrayal, and reclaiming autonomy. Writing became cathartic, but it also served as a resource for others in similar situations. I shared tips on budgeting for daycare, managing hidden finances, and negotiating family responsibilities. The response was overwhelming. Readers resonated with my story, and many began applying my strategies to their own lives. It was proof that transforming personal trauma into financial empowerment could benefit more than just me. At home, tensions escalated when my husband tried to surprise me with a luxurious dinner, funded by funds he considered his private stash. I calmly explained that joint expenses and household responsibilities needed transparency. I offered an alternative, a budgeted, thoughtful dinner that respected both our finances and our child's needs. He reluctantly agreed, and I realized that money, when handled openly, could resolve conflicts before they escalated. Financial literacy wasn't just a skill, it was a peacekeeping tool. Beyond the household, I focused on long-term stability. I started investing in diversified portfolios, contributing consistently to a retirement plan, and exploring passive income sources. I also set up a small emergency fund specifically for my daughter's needs, medical expenses, education, and unexpected costs. I wanted to ensure that nothing, not even betrayal or secrecy, could compromise her future. Each step reinforced my independence, my ability to make decisions, and my resilience in the face of challenges. By the end of part 4, I had transformed what initially felt like betrayal into a roadmap for empowerment. I had learned that trust is fragile, but financial control is concrete. I had redefined my relationship with money, my husband, and my family. Most importantly, I had reclaimed my sense of security and agency. Financial independence wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving, even in the aftermath of deception. By the time I had fully embraced the idea that financial independence was my lifeline, the initial shock of discovering my husband's secret account had transformed into determination, strategy, and action. I now had a clear plan for my finances, daycare, and investments, and I knew that my daughter's future would never be compromised by secrecy or betrayal again. The day I officially returned to work, I felt a mix of nerves and exhilaration. Dropping my baby off at daycare was emotional but necessary. I reminded myself that every sacrifice I made now would ensure her security later. I logged into my work email, reviewed my schedule, and then checked my personal financial dashboard. The numbers reflected months of planning and diligence, savings accounts growing, investments maturing, and emergency funds fully funded. Each figure reinforced my sense of control. At home, my husband approached me nervously, trying to bridge the emotional gap that had widened over the months. I listened patiently as he admitted, for the first time, that hiding money had been a mistake. He promised transparency moving forward, and though I was wary, I could see the beginnings of accountability. We agreed on strict joint financial oversight, monthly reviews of spending, shared budgets, and clearly defined personal accounts. This structure didn't just protect me, it created a path for rebuilding trust, slowly, cautiously, and with evidence. I also dedicated time to teaching myself new financial strategies. I researched real estate investments, stocks, ETFs, and retirement accounts. I connected with online communities of young parents who had experienced similar betrayals, learning how to reclaim control of finances while raising children. This wasn't just about money, it was about empowerment, resilience, and self-reliance. The financial independence I had fought for became intertwined with my identity as a mother, a partner, and an individual. One of the most rewarding steps was automating financial protections for my daughter. I set up a trust account in her name, ensured contributions from both our incomes, and even created a long-term education fund. I realized that by taking control now, I was shielding her from potential instability, and I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Financial literacy had become my superpower, turning betrayal into opportunity. By the end of the year, the household dynamics had shifted. My husband remained committed to transparency, our budgets were clearly delineated, and I had regained my sense of agency. The initial pain of deception had been transformed into lessons in empowerment, financial strategy, and resilience. I had learned that betrayal doesn't have to define your future. Knowledge, planning, and action do. Have you ever discovered hidden financial secrets in a relationship? How did you reclaim control and ensure your future security? Share your strategies and experiences in the comments below. If you found this story empowering, hit that subscribe button and join us for more real-life stories turned into financial lessons. Each episode dives into high-stakes family dramas, betrayal, and the steps you can take to protect your wealth, independence, and peace of mind. Don't wait. Your financial empowerment starts today.